Today it is the LA-2A hardware versus software. We're going to pull it out of the rack and we can do some shootouts with it and have some fun. I have 6 different LA-2A plugins pulled up today in Pro Tools ready to rock. I'm actually stoked to get into this one. Y'all know, like, this is not a cheap piece of hardware. Like, the price on this, the market value on this thing has just skyrocketed. We'll go over routing, all the fun stuff, exactly what we've got going on. We have the hardware channel. We have the test channel. As always, hardware channel has the LA-2A on it, the actual hardware. Chilling right here. And then the test channel has the phase flip on it, ready for our null test. And this will be interesting. We're going to be null testing a dynamics processor today instead of an EQ, so this could get wild. Phase flip already established. It's got the DAD loop. That way we have the sound of the converters all baked into the testing. So that way our test channel has the conversion sound on it, just like our hardware channel does. I'll go ahead and bypass all of our loops and converters and stuffs. You can just hear the sound of the bass. So you can hear there's like some dynamic discrepancies going on there. There's on the higher notes, they're a little bit more pulled back. On the low notes, they're a little bit punchy and hard hitting. And an LA-2A is great at like gently decreasing that crest factor with also adding some cool like output sound because of all the transformers and the tubes. We'll see how close the plugins can get to this. We'll go ahead and set up our null real fast. Make sure that our null does indeed null. And our master channel right down here is where we're going to get our ratings from. Just like everything, we're going to go ahead and do the flips, pop in the hardware, flip the phases. We're going to go ahead and get a baseline level, and we're going to call that our null rating. So that's going to be our baseline for the testing. Second I pop in the null channel, it should just disappear. Boom, we got a perfect null. It's 100% flawless null in digital land. Peak reduction is on 0. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. I'm going to pop in our DAD loop, digital to analog to digital loop, make sure our volumes are matched, and whatever this number is down here, call that the baseline for our testing. So we're listening to the deltas. So essentially what we're listening to is the difference between digital signal and what the Teletronix is adding to the signal. So you can kind of hear that saturation, a little bit of that crunchiness, a little bit of that life in the mid-range. That's just coming from this box. So our baseline today for the testing is negative 33.6 dB. So just like last time, we're going to try to null these plugins down to this noise floor as close as we possibly can. If it gets anywhere near 33.6 dB, swap it out in your mixes. Go ahead and call the emulation line will be halfway. So 50% of the way there, we can go ahead and call it an emulation. Doesn't make it 50% of the way there, we cannot call it an emulation, and we have to reskin it as something else. Emulation line today is going to be minus 16.3. Be a little bit graceful for the plugins today. So it has to get at least minus 16.3 dB the way there in order to be an emulation. Before we can even begin the testing, we have to dial in the bass with the hardware. So let's go ahead and compress the bass DI with a 2A. And we'll switch it between limit, compress, kind of just see where we land, see what sounds good. Analog, you cannot look at the gain reduction meters. These things, I swear, these things are the devil, dude. Just don't look at it. Use your ears. Whenever it sounds great, then look at it. Let's dial it up. Here we go. I don't know how hard I'm hitting it. You guys know how hard I'm hitting it. I don't. I'm not looking. My hand is on the compress limit switch here. Right now I'm on compress. I'm going to hit the limit. We're going to see which one sounds better. All right, so this is a tough one for me here. Because on the limit, I like how it almost has kind of like a harder knee where it's pushing the transients down harder, but it's not grabbing like the lower volume level of the signal. And then in the compress, it's kind of just like decreasing crest factor, but I get like a cool, it's like an EQ change kind of in the low mid. Let's listen to that real quick. I'll start on the limit, and when I hit the compress, I kind of almost get like a little bit of an EQ shift in the low mids. Check it out. We'll start on limit. It's like nice and leveled. All right, compress. I think for the sake of just seeing if the plugins can do it, I'll go ahead and hit it on compress. So we'll see if they can get that kind of low end, low mid thing right. Now I get to look at the meter and see how hard I've been hitting it. This is a compressor where you can just pin the needle and it just sounds great. So we'll see. Just a quick 20 dB gain reduction on the bass DI. It doesn't sound like it though. That's the thing. It doesn't sound like I'm smashing this thing by 20 dB. Let me see. Let me go ahead and level match it real quick. Yeah, it's like minus 15 to 20 dB of gain reduction on the bass DI. But dude, it sounds good. See the output, see how hard we're hitting this output. We're not running unbalanced cable, we're running balanced cable, so +4. Weak sauce, bro. We ain't even digging into that output transformer. I want to kill it. I want to dig into these transformers and these tubes. A second, let's level match. So now I'm kind of using the output transformer as like a clipper, lobbing off some of the transient information of the bass with it. So I'm doing like a compress and kind of like a tone shape and like a final crest factor situation with it. Let's check this out. See, if I pull it back, I get more like pick out of it. Right about in there. And this thing, I want to keep a good gain structure through this unit, so I want my output to be around unity. So I want it to be up off the noise floor of the analog, but kind of digging into the red, so it's like hitting, stuff's glowing, stuff's getting warm, stuff's getting hot. So it's living in the red right now, and I love that. That sounds good. And then if I want to control the crest factor, I can push it harder. There, it sounds a little bit flat there. So I'm going to pull it back, use my ears until it starts to dance. Right about in there. Right there sounds good. So I'm still overloading the unit pretty hard. I'm way into the red. Probably 5-6 dB over the threshold of this unit. We're abusing it right now. So 20 dB of gain reduction, and we're just absolutely overloading the output. So this is what we started with. Levels kind of all over the place. It's in. The bass comes to life. You have tone, like the string excitement, like that kind of piano-ness of the string just punches forward. Everything is super good and leveled. It's nice and even. Kind of wish I would have done this whenever I track this band. Shall we start? Visually match some settings with the bomb factory here, and we'll just see. And then we'll go ahead and flip the phase, close as we possibly can while it's nulled, give it a null score, and then kind of A-B between the plugin and the hardware. Just see what we like more. The gains on these might kind of be all over the place, because digital gain and analog gain is a very different animal. Matching the meter against the plugin, and we'll match the output. Pull this, we'll match it. Here's where we landed. Just visually matching settings. So whenever you see this little tiny yellow dot right here, this is hardware. When you see this yellow dot right here, boop, that is plugin. Hardware. Not the same. All right, just for kicks, let's null test them. This could get weird. The only thing left on the table here we're going to hear is the difference between the hardware signal and the plugin. This could get a little bit strange. Here we go. So you can already hear like the low end's way off. If you can still hear it, then it's off. Bunch of low end left. That means there's doing something with the low end that's not right in the plugin. And you can kind of hear the attack. So there's a difference in the attack time. So the attack and release characteristics are way different. So I'm going to play with this peak reduction and try to get it to disappear a little bit more. There's like a sweet spot right there around 80 where it disappears. That's the closest we're going to get. But the attack and the release time are totally different. And the low end's way off. And we'll go ahead and listen to them both. Hardware first, and I'll switch to the software. Here we go. We'll go ahead and give her a null score. BF2A. This is the stock Avid one. And here we go. Sitting around minus 19, minus 10. Got a minus 10.5. That's not great. But then again, dude, like really hard to give a compressor like a null score because it comes down to attack and release characteristics. The compression characteristic of the unit is really what defines the tone of the box. So you can match like saturation values and all that stuff in digital land all you want to, but if you're not nailing that attack and that release characteristic, that the time constants, it's not what you say it is. So this one got a minus 10.5 null score. This guy did not do good. It didn't even get halfway. So I don't think we can, in good faith, call this an LA-2A. On to the next one we know it, we love it. It was one of the first ones available to us. I've got it set to flat. So you see these like little knobs on the hardware? There's like these, looks like a screw point. On the back of this unit, there is a high emphasis knob. On the back of mine, my bass roll off is set to 0, so it's set flat. If it has this high frequency thing, I'm just gonna always set it to flat because that's how the hardware's set. So we've got the setting is visually matched outside of the gain. We're gonna visually level match. Hey, that's way off. Down to about in there. There we go. We're pretty darn close. So let's check this out. Hardware first. Software. This is closer than the other plugin already. It's just like the hardware is way more transparent, I feel like. This one has like the mid-range character way closer than the Bomb Factory one did. They're not getting the grab right. Like I feel like the plugins aren't getting like the onset of the compression right. The hardware here, we're down at minus 20 dB of gain reduction. It doesn't sound like choked. It doesn't sound overly contained. It sounds really transparent, and it sounds really good. And that's why I tell everybody, like, gain reduction meters are the devil. Don't ever look at them. Look away and turn the knob until you're happy with the sound. You'll look back and be like, oh my God. Don't worry about it. It sounds great. Let's go ahead and null it. I'm going to see if I can get it closer. We're going to score it. Let's play with the peak reduction knob, see if we can get it closer. Farther, farther. About right there. I'm going to play with the gain, see if I can get it to null a little bit harder, get it to disappear some more. That's about it. All that stuff coming through is all stuff that the plugin is not getting right. Let's make sure I've really got that volume down. Okay. Do one more A/B real quick. Here's the hardware. I think it's kind of doing like the life and the upper mids, kind of like the hardware's doing. But it's just not getting like that crest factor under control like the hardware does. Let's go and score it. LA-2A. Here we go. All right, this one did a little tiny bit better than the stock Avid one. This one is a negative 11.2 dB for a null score. Transient delta is what's going to completely wreck their null scores. And that's what we kind of have to score it off of, is how close did they emulate the onset of the compression under high gain reduction, and how close did they emulate the offset as we abused the hardware. Because the hardware in this case does sound great when it's abused. We're getting into the UAD stuff now, so hell yeah. High frequency adjust. Right now we're going to leave it off. Mix is set to 100%. And again, this is like not an LA-2A. This is just like, this is the predecessor. So let's just kind of see. Pumpy. The second I try to match the VU, it sounds a little off. I can really feel this one pushing and pulling. So this is the first of the plugins so far that has like depth, because it's taking the sound and is pushing it back and pulling it back and kind of pulling it back forward again, which is not what the hardware is doing. The hardware is making the sound more dense. It's not doing like a push and pull dance. A push and pull dance for me is kind of more like a VCA style compressor. But again, it's not an LA-2A. This is an LA-2s. All right, let's level match the outs. There we go. We'll start with the hardware and let's check it out. Sounds like a big low end bump. See if we can get a little bit closer. About right there. I mean, tonally, that's a really good match. Like, outside of the transient delta, it's hitting about like minus 39. So like, sonically, it's very close. It's just the attack and the release constants are a little bit different. So this one actually should be really, really darn close. Here's the hardware. I feel like the hardware has like a little bit more of a bite in the upper mids. This one's actually really good. Like I like how this feels. I think the release characteristics a little bit faster than the actual LA-2A though. But that's been the name of the game so far the whole time. So getting the attack and release right. So this is the LA-2. Let's give her a null score. See what she gets. This is for all the marbles. It's that, dude, it's the attack and release characteristics. Minus 11.4. Technically, it did get closer than the Waves one did. And it's not even an actual LA-2A. This is an LA-2. So it got closer by 0.2 dB. So none of these so far have hit like the actual quote-unquote emulation line delta. I'll tell you this. All of them so far have hit the emulation line as far as the tonal curves. Tonally, they're down in like minus 34 to minus like 28 dB so far. So all that like kind of gets you the sonic thumbprint is there. But the actual attack and release characteristics not on par with the hardware yet. Maybe there is a little bit of like electronic nonlinearity, unpredictable randomness in there. Twins, look at that. So this one should like get close because I mean, do you look at it? It's the exact same. The only thing it's missing is the little UA tag right here. Go ahead and we'll just match the settings. Does not meter the same. Yeah, there we go. That's about what our hardware is doing, right? There we go. So the meter on this is pretty cool. The meter actually responds very close to the hardware. You see, the hardware is still not back to zero. This thing will take like 5 minutes to go back to zero. It's like it's insane. That meter up there is at about a half a dB. It's not back to zero yet. Here we go. Hardware first and then software. Software. Different in the upper mids. It's the ability to grab the transient. Like the hardware just has like a way of smoothing that. Let's listen to the null. Here we go. This is the delta between the plugin and the hardware. Oof. It is missing the release characteristic is what that is. The long extended note is the release being totally wrong. That. It's missing the low end release. And again, like tonally, it's matching against the hardware about minus 25 dB. The thumbprint of the hardware is down to like minus 25 dB. But again, we're not measuring the thumbprints. We're measuring, can this actually like compress and like onset and offset and release like the hardware does. So that's about as close as I could possibly get it. So we'll go ahead and A/B them really quick and we'll give it a null score. So here is the hardware. Switch. Has a different low end character, the plugin does. All right, let's go ahead and give it the score. They don't handle like actual like dynamic like the hardware does. They're really bad about it. Yeah, right there. This one gets, I'm a UA fanboy, this is depressing. Got yourself a null score of minus 11.13. And that brings us to the vintage gray. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. We'll just go ahead and match it. The settings have been pretty off so far. High frequency filter. My high emphasis is flat in the back of this unit. Peak reduction's about there. We're sitting at about 50. Yeah, this one's already off to a better start, like visually. Match some output levels. I ain't mad at this. So this is the vintage gray face. Here's the hardware. Let's go ahead and give it a null score. Close. Dude, this one handles the jump really good. So the delta on this is way closer. Like the attack and release characteristics on this plugin are the closest so far. Like we're not getting any weird like crazy artifacty sounds. Nothing like any of the other plugins so far. Got me excited, guys. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, this one actually is kind of close. Let's check it out. That. How it handles that is way closer than anything else. 12.7. We're like a whole dB and a half closer to the hardware on this one. So far, guys, this one's our winner. UAD LA-2A gray. Really good null score. Our next contender, which is going to be the silver. We'll go ahead and do the same thing. We'll visually match settings. About 50, about 45. Level match the outputs to the hardware. It's all pretty close. Crest factor thing right there. It's already not doing great. So here's the delta. Yeah, this one's not handling the attack and release constants as well as the gray one was. We'll go ahead and listen to the hardware real quick. So this is hardware. Software. The hardware just has like a way of like pushing that low mid, locks it in place. None of the software has gotten that right so far. So here's the hardware. Super smooth mid range, and then we're going to go to the plugin and let me know if you hear like that like bit crushy. hardware. Yeah, right there. It's like a synthetic mid-range thing. It's kind of getting put in there. Smooth and buttery. And then here's the digital. Yeah, it's like adding a distortion. It's altering the characteristic of the instrument. Let's give her a null score. This one did not do great. That's minus 11.5 dB. All right, let's check out the La-La. All right, so this is one of those, like, I know nothing about this plugin. This is my first time I've ever laid eyes on this, but you guys said this thing is awesome. So these are sidechain options. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave it. Mix knob. All right, we're just going to emulate the settings we have in front of us because it's what we have. All right, I have to drive it to 100 in order to match the meter, match these output levels. So this is hardware. All right, software. Hardware. I'm gonna go ahead and go back and forth pretty quick here. Let's go ahead and listen to the deltas. Let's just see. Whoa, very unique release characteristic. It's too fast. The release is way too fast. I feel like we're hearing that second stage more than we're hearing the first and the third stage. So like the initial offset is really good. Like that's actually close, but like the pump, I think is the mid stage not being right. It's doing a pump dance. The attack characteristic, very close. Release characteristics, questionable. So here we go. Let's go ahead and give this a null score. It actually got a decent null score, which breaks my heart because the release is totally off. This is such a hard test to do with dynamics stuff because to me this is the farthest one away. This to me is the farthest thing away from the LA-2A just because of the release characteristic, but scored the highest in the null test. I gotta order some stuff. Which one? Ooh, we have a tie. We tested 7 LA-2A plugins, tried as hard as we possibly could to get them to match the attack and release characteristic of the hardware. Here we go. I'm going to have 2 different lists for this. I'm telling you right now, there's 2 different lists. A list based off the delta testing and then a list based off of just straight up personal opinion. Keep this in mind. Our emulation line, minus 16.3 dB. In 7th place, dead last, the Bomb Factory 2A. This got a null score of minus 10.5 dB. The CLA-2A and the Universal Audio LA-2. Null score of minus 11.2. So these two scored the same null score. So those are tied for 5th. Little side tangent, they did not sound or feel the same. In 4th place, we have the actual Universal Audio LA-2A, Teletronix. It got a null score of minus 11.3 dB full scale. In 3rd place, the 1176 Silver. This is UAD again. And this one got a null score of 11.5 dB. In 2nd place, again, Universal Audio, LA-2A Greyface, so the G. This one got a null score of minus 12.7 dB. Thank you guys for recommending it. The one based off of attack and release and its ability to handle large dynamic crest factor swings, the LA Analog Obsession. This thing got a null score of minus 15.8. So personal list, like just sitting here in like where I'm sitting, the LA is the farthest. Like this thing to me just doesn't respond like an LA-2A. So for me, this is last place. This is 7th. 6th place, BF-2A. Super fun. Again, not close enough. Doesn't respond and like release like a 2A. Place on 5th place, I'd give it to the Silver. The Silver, it's cool. It kind of does respond like an LA-2A, but it has like a weird thing in the low end. Kind of like some of the other UA stuff that we shot out. Like has like a weird, doesn't really translate in the low end that well. The Legacy Edition, I would put this in 4th place. I feel like if you want like an LA-2A kind of a vibe, like something that's going to get you in the ballpark of the hardware, it actually does do a good job. Now the one out of them that I was like, I like this, was this one. The LA-2 was the first one out of all the plugins that got us pretty close to the hardware. I was like, this actually feels pretty good. Had a different characteristic in the mid-range, different characteristic in the low mids, but I liked how it felt. Like this was the first one to me that actually had movement. Everything else is pretty flat. So 2nd place, CLA-2A, and it's strictly because it got the vocal characteristic of the bass right. And me being a bass player, like I want that note to be heard and I want it to blend in and become part of the guitar sound. And this plugin, I can definitely achieve that. It doesn't make it as three-dimensional as the hardware does. I kind of value that area in the bass very highly. And a lot of the other ones kind of like didn't even get that close. And then the winner for me, the first place for me, is the G. This thing it grabbed and released like the hardware does. It just feels good. And that's so much of like the subjectiveness of the Delta testing, where it's like there is like two different lists. There's the data list, and there's the which one feels good list. And for me, this one just feels good.